franchise where it's like you get to see your friends at these conventions. That has to be so special and wonderful. What is it like for the two of you?
Ladies first.
Well, for myself, I think it's very... Hello, everybody. And,
Hello.
And thank you so much for being here. And it's wonderful to be here as well. My first time in Florida.
Oh.
Orlando, very first time.
Wow.
Big ups, come on. But yeah, coming to these events, it's a pleasure and an honour to meet up with your fellow actors. And over the years, you sort of seen the conventions and nothing else. So it's just lovely to be able to travel, meet fans, meet your friends, family, in terms of the actors. And when was the last time I saw you, Mark? You see, yeah, a while back.
It was a while
It was a
because
while
of the
back,
pandemic too, but it's been and other reasons, but we won't talk about it. But 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. It was a Steve Perry show, I think.
Right.
Oh,
right.
it definitely was.
Yeah.
You know his Rhode Island Comic-Con?
Yes. Oh gosh, that
I
was
think it was
ages
Rhode
ago.
Island. Yeah.
That was ages ago. Okay, so then so just a pleasure to be able to travel and come out and meet everybody, see everybody.
No, it's so wonderful to have you guys here. This is...
And it's the same, for me. And for me, because I'm a voice actor, they get to work. These actors, they all work together. But for us, everything's done. They've shot it, and we go in, and I never hardly would get to meet, unless there's a voice person in there with us, us voice people.
It's very solo.
So it's really cool for me over the years to have gotten to finally meet the people that I'm in a film with, and that was really awesome. And then the other thing is, Lucasfilm really was a family, and I was in-house there for a few years, so it really does feel like seeing a family member that you haven't seen for a while. There's a like the minute you meet somebody that's in the film, you feel connected.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful.
I'm sure. Thank you guys so much for being here. So you mentioned you're in like the voice acting side of things, and obviously you have this incredibly unique voice, but in addition to that, such a distinctive laugh exactly. And I feel like a lot of your roles you get to utilize your laugh, but in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So can you tell me?
I don't know why I ended up with being the laugh guy. And I always, I don't know. And then I do a lot of, like right now I'm doing a lot of haunt commercials for I do like about 20 markets in the U.S., the major markets. And I get to use, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I do. I end up using them all the time.
Sounds familiar.
So growing up, when did you start realizing that your unique voice was gonna be a career for you?
I didn't think I knew it was going to be a career. I knew that I could do. I was pretty good at impersonations at a young age. And people would, because I would do, I was born in the 60s, so I'm doing Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff and those guys, and Edward G. Robinson, who, distinctive. They're pretty easy because they're so distinctive. I mean, I think. I know that in 5th grade, we had to give a speech on how to do something. I gave a speech on how to do impersonations. So that was kind of weird.
Interesting.
I winged it. I just told them what I do, Not really. And then a funny one was when I was in high school or junior. No, it was early high school. I had to do give a speech. No, it was in public speaking class. But we had to do a radio station on a cassette, and everybody had cassette recorders. Do it at home, bring it in, and make a little radio station thing. And I did it, and I did I did a bunch of voices because I had commercials on there and all this. And I turn it in, and I get my grade, and I had an F.
An F?
An F. And I'm like, what the hell? So I go to the teacher, I'm like, why'd I get an F? He said, you didn't understand the assignment. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you were supposed to do this on your own, just you. I said, that is just me. He's like, no, it isn't. You have other people on there. I said, no, that's just me. So he made me do the voices. He goes, do it then, right now. And I did. He's like, oh my God, here, A+. Yeah. He's like, I'm sorry. I couldn't. He's like, he was blown away. He's like, I could never tell that was the same person doing.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's amazing.
So that was a long answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's a cool one. That's a great answer.
So yeah, at some point it was going to happen, I guess.
Yeah, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And with you, Femi, like, was your background in dance?
Yeah, yes, it was.
And so when you got the role in Star Wars, how much did they tell you about it? And like, was it a dance audition, or what type of process was it?
Well, when I got the role, they didn't tell me anything about it because it was all secrecy. When I auditioned for it, I had no idea what I was auditioning for. When they asked me to go back and do a dance routine with a few other females, we still didn't know what it was. So it was very hard to base anything on the audition when we were auditioning, except to just do the best you could do. And then right at the end of the audition, one of the girls asked what it was, and they finally said it's the next Star Wars movie. So I went, okay, and I thought I did the best I could do, and I was doing Cats at the time, and I'd taken the choreographer up to London because I had to be at the show by a certain time, and he said, look, and he said, look, I think you've got the part. and he said, but don't get too excited. And then when I got to the stage door, there's a message from my agent saying that to call her, and I did. And she said they want to offer you the part in Star Wars. So, but I am from a dance background, and before Star Wars, I had done lots of dance work, and I've been dancing since I was 4 years old. So I knew that was one of my callings in this lifetime. So yeah, so that's yeah, a trained dancer. And lots of people do ask me, sorry to interject, they say, oh, did you have a choreographer? And I went, oh yeah, because you know, if I improvised on the spot, then you continuity, I'd have to remember what I did. But it was a week's choreography and then a week's shoot, so it was all planned.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you were also doing Cats at the time,
yeah,
which is obviously one of the greatest musicals of all time.
Oh yeah, we started it. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, big ups, we did it. I did it originally in 81 with the original cast. And then I went back again to do a part that I understudied, and that's when I auditioned for Jedi as well. So I was doing Cats in the evening and Jedi in the daytime, and then I suddenly thought, because it took about 13 showers to get my green makeup off, I went, oh God, it's taking this time, now I've got to put cat makeup on. And I said, look, I just need to have a week's break. So I just concentrated on doing Jedi for a week and had a break from the show, but yes.
What was your favorite number to perform in Cats?
Well, I have to say, the one that I did was Cavity. Yeah, I played Bon Ballerina, and I think that was the best song.
Okay, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, jazzy stuff, music.
Okay, well, we can transition back into Star Wars.
Yeah,
sorry,
we'll transition back in,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, I'm a big Cats
No,
fan.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, what was it like for you, Mark, the first time seeing the voice match up with the crazy little character that had to be so incredibly surreal?
It's funny you would ask that, because I hadn't seen who I was. I did it what they call wild. I went in the studio with Ben Burt. He kind of described this creature, and then anyway, so I ended up doing it. So I hadn't seen it, and so, but I was with Luke. I was a carpenter at Skywalker Ranch, and I was trying to get into production, but they were like, "Well, we need carpenter right now. Maybe come in, and then we'll bring you over to production when we have an opening." Yeah. So I went and did that, and did it with him. Had no idea. So I went to the screening with everybody. And I'm like everybody, I'm sitting there watching the movie, and I'm thinking, I wonder who I'm going to be here. And all of a sudden, I see Salacious cackle, and here's what it was like. That's me! Honest to God. And then I went, oh my God, I can't, because I'm there with George and Harrison and all those people, and I'm thinking, I bet Harrison's back there going, yeah, that's me, kid. You know, it's like, dude, that was embarrassing. Yeah. That's how it was. I was blown away.
So you didn't know you didn't know who you were.
I still don't know who I am.
You saw it on screen, and you saw Salacious.
Yeah, and when I heard it, I knew that was my laugh, and I'm like, oh, that's me. And I was with a girlfriend, and she's like, oh, you know, I was like, oh my God.
I mean, because sorry.
No, keep going.
And then because when I was doing Jedi, and when I was sitting waiting to shoot my section, Salacious Crumb was, excuse me, a pain in the ass.
I heard that.
It really was a pain in the ass, you know. And he kept, Tim.
Yeah, Tim Rose
annoying me so much.
Yeah.
So the fact that you didn't see the character and you matched, you corresponded or cross-pollinated with which is incredible.
I did like probably 20 minutes of cackles and gibberish and screams and I mean a lot more stuff than ever got used.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Ben found a good 15 seconds, you know, and and so that and then after the screening was the cast. Were you in San Francisco? Did you? Or no, you would have screened it over in the UK.
In the UK, but yes.
So we screened it in San Francisco.
Okay.
And there was the big party and the dinner after. So then Ben came up and said, "Do you know who you are?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm that little guy with Java." And he's like, "Yeah." And he said, "Your name's Salacious Crumb."
Great name.
Oh, what a great name. I was like, that's great.
It's pain in the ass, but great name. Sorry.
So you said it was, the character was just described to you now. Do you remember like how they described?
I do, because he said he's part bird, rat, monkey.
Yeah. Is it?
He's a monkey. He's a Kowakian monkey lizard. I wouldn't have known what that meant.
Yeah.
But he's like, he's kind of part rat, part bird, part monkey, and and then he described scenes that aren't even in the movie, because you know how secretive they are about everything.
Exactly.
Like, oh, you don't know. Yeah, he's like, you're out in the desert. So after he heard me do the laugh and stuff, he's like, okay, I want you to do other stuff in that voice. Just real quick, he was like, he described scenes. You're out in the desert. You see a big castle. You're tired. You've been walking the desert. Just give me like. You know, I just start doing, you know, and it got to where you snuck in. There's a giant sleeping. You're hiding. I gave more sounds. Everything was, and then the one scene where, so then he says, you stole this giant's cheese. The giant just woke up. He's chasing you. You're scared. So I'm screaming, and he said, now the giant just caught you. And he took the cheese back. Tell him you want your cheese back. And that's when I was like, he's like, just do some gibberish. So I did. So that scene, so I'm thinking to myself, give me that cheese back when I'm saying that. Well, to use that part, I know when I go to the ceiling after I got tapped in the ass and I'm up on the ceiling and I yell back down at them. So really what I'm saying is, give me back my cheese.
Now to watch that again.
Right?
Complete sense.
Everything's so different.
It makes sense when you get backstory like that.
I love that. So if you guys have any questions now, it's your chance to ask whatever questions you may have.
So when you were shooting your dancing scene in front of Jabba, did they already have the music choreographed and sort of playing? So you were actually...
Yes, I knew exactly what I was doing.
That's what I was always wondering, like, at what time did they have the song written and performed and all that?
Right from the beginning, when I was in rehearsals, they had the music. I knew exactly. The only difficult thing was that when I was dancing under the grate itself, it was very slippery because of the sand, and then I had my leggings that kept smacking me in the face so you had to just deal with all that on set, and then you felt quite conspicuous because you're the only one getting up and dancing in front of. I was fortunate because I had all the characters in Jabba's palace, and I think back on it, I had everybody there just waiting, I had the music. I knew exactly the music. What I was dancing to.
Okay, thank you.
What was it like? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you go ahead.
Oh, I insist. You. I'll ask that.
This one's from Mark. You said you did voices when you were younger. Was Mel Blanc your inspiration?
Mel Blanc? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I love Mel Blanc, yeah.
He was your inspiration?
Certainly. I'm like, yeah. Listen, I don't know. Listen, Buster. For 40 years, you've been hogging the screen. That was in Gremlins 2. Well, I didn't do it. Noel Blanc did it because Mel had passed. So on Gremlins 2.
Right.
But yeah, in fact, I was told that Mel, because it was Warner Brothers and Amblin for Gremlins, that they actually wanted Mel to do the Gremlins. He was still alive for Gremlins 1. And they played, and I was already chosen to do it. And they thought, well, we need to get some other sounds in there. And they played, I was told by Mark Mangini, who was the sound man on that, he said, we played Mel Blanc, your voice. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? He said, he listened to it, he said, you know what? I could probably do that, but it would tear my voice up. If that guy can do that without tearing his voice up, let him do it. That's honest to God. Yeah, I was like, wow.
That's
wow.
Cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I never met him though. I met June Foray. I worked with June, but June was Granny and Tweety and oh God, Natasha and Boris, Boris, ooh boy, which I love, Paul Frees was, ooh boy, moose and squirrel. Don't forget to ride. Yeah, I love it. Paul Frees was my big inspiration. The Haunted Mansion.
Oh yeah.
When I was 10 years old, I went. And when I heard, when hinges creak in doorless chambers, and I was like, oh man,
So
what a
good,
voice.
right?
Yeah.
Impactful.
Yeah, he's great.
So since you did mention Gremlins, obviously you got to voice multiple Gremlins,
Yeah,
and they all
a
have
lot of them.
very unique, distinctive personalities. Now, do you have a favorite Gremlin?
Well, Gremlin, in Gremlins 1, I had the favorite scene, like the scene where we're in the movie theater and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs comes on. And I was so excited because I grew up on that. And I went, and when we watch, right, you've done ADR, I'm sure, to replace stuff. And they show you the scene. And we're sitting there watching. I went, oh my God. And Joe Dante, the director's like, what? And I said, I'm going to be in a movie with the Seven Dwarfs. He's like, oh yeah. Not only that, but you're going to sing their song with them. Hi, ho. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah.
That's, those are my inspirations, the Seven Dwarfs. But no, so I have scenes like that. Now Gremlins 2, Daffy is crazy, and his eyes spinning his head, and it was Warner Brothers, and they're like, so this character's name is Daffy, what do you think he should sound like? I'm like, well, I think probably Daffy Duck, just with a gremlin thing going on, and yeah, but Daffy was fun, because he's crazy, and he's funny. And have you seen Gremlins?
I have,
okay.
Yes.
I just wanted, not to put you on the spot.
No, I have.
But yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So I don't know if you've seen Gremlins 2. Gremlins 2 is crazy.
No, I haven't done Gremlins.
Yeah, Gremlins 2, they had more personality.
Right, okay.
Rick Baker made the Gremlins for Gremlins 2, and they had a lot more personality.
And Hulk Hogan was in it.
And Hulk Hogan was in it.
As you do.
And Christopher Lee was in it, who I love. He was my Dracula as a kid. Besides Bela Lugosi, right? So he has the line, "You've got to stop them. If one of them should get away and eat a child or two, there'll be the most appalling publicity." I was like, oh my God, that's the best line. He's Dr. Catheter. Is his name. Dr. Catheter.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's next? Go right ahead.
Femi, when you shot your scene where you're struggling with the chains, who are you playing against? Are you playing against a team, or are you playing against a puppet, or is it all improv?
When I did in 82, 83, I had Jabba. He was holding, actually there were 4 men in Jabba, and I can't remember who was doing the arms. But they were controlling it. They were controlling when I was pulling. But when I went back to do the special edition, it was green screen.
Oh.
But then they didn't use it. So, but originally I did it. It was with the nasty, sluggish Jabba the Hutt that I was interacting with.
Oh, that's cool.
And they had a little TV monitor inside, and I got strangled a few times too, because it was back in those days. It was the picture wasn't clear at all, so you could just sort of see an image dancing around. But no, it was with Jabba. It was with my master that I struggled. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's cool.
When you went back for the special editions, did you hear rumors about it, or did George call you?
I had no idea. Like? Honestly, it just came out of the blue in, I don't know, it was 95, I can't remember, 94. And I was just away in America, in New York, just staying with a really good friend of mine at the Chelsea Hotel she was living. And I had escaped, and I hadn't told, and I've told this many times, but I had not told anybody where I was. And then she said there was this phone call from Lucasfilm to call them back. And back then, we had this little telephone, and you had that little light flashing. You're probably too young to know any of that. But anyway, we had this little red light, and the little red light was flashing on the telephone. And I played the message, and then, I called Lucasfilm, and they said, it's the casting director, and George Lucas wants to revamp the scene, the Jedi scene, Jabba's Palace, and we would like to bring you back in to do it, to merge the scenes together. And then they said, we've got one question. You've got to fit in your original costume you fitted in 14 years prior. And have you changed? And I went, well, no, just take some photos. So I did, and we sent them FedEx, and they said, no, you'll be able to do it. You'll be able to do it. So they flew me out. There was I had no idea. It was just out of the blue. And they were saying it took them about 3 to 6 months to try and locate me. And everyone's saying, no, we won't find her. And if they weren't going to find me, then they were going to CGI me. So luckily they found me.
Yeah.
So, wow. But I had to, everything you see in the special edition is what I wore originally.
That's great. Wow. You had to keep that secret for 2 years?
Excuse me?
You had to keep that secret for 2 years?
No, because it was completely out. You know, when I got about going into the special edition. Right. No, that one I didn't have to keep a secret. Okay. It was just something they shot it, and then it was, I think it was 8 months later, the special edition was out. But prior, yes, I did have to keep it a secret.
Wow. Well, what was it like donning the makeup and the outfit again? That has to be very...
So weird. I mean, even the whole costume smelled the same. You know, it was like it was just like. But I knew, you know, because it took about 4 hours to do my makeup, so I thought, oh, here we go. Let's get in there at 4 o'clock in the morning, stand there semi-nude, get painted up. So yeah, no, I just thought this would be really interesting, and I thought when they said we want to add more to your scene, I thought I had to remember the dance routine from. And I was playing it back on, and I thought, God, I can't remember it. Like, it was a nightmare. But luckily they didn't. They got the 3. I think the original, when I did it originally, I think it's better seen, except when you see me going to the pit.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was all cool.
And what was it like the first day on set when you actually saw Jabba the Hutt for the first time?
Oh dear. I thought, God, he's so, wow, it's amazing. Because again, it wasn't CGI. It was because originally it was a man who played Jabba the Hutt. Right. And then they check you. I mean, you know, yes. So actually seeing, and I'm, you know, for me, I'm not, you know, the Star Wars lover or anything. For me, it's just stepping and doing the job and stepping out and continuing on my career. So I didn't know any of this, the backstory or anything like that about Star Wars. But anyway, seeing Jabba was incredible. He was, I mean, massive. But as I say, 4 people had to fit into him. Yeah. And it was really good to play against a live puppeteer in that respect.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Any final? Yeah, go ahead.
You said you do impersonations. Is there one that you just love to keep doing? And is there another one that surprises people?
There's a lot. There's a lot. I love doing the Wizard of Oz. His name just escaped me. I feel terrible. The original Wizard of Oz, and I've used him on things. I discovered I could do him. I was doing a thing for Kellogg's, a commercial. You know, like, can you do? Well, I wasn't doing it yet. The producer I'd worked with, and he called me and said, "Can you do Frank Morgan?" And I said, "Who's Frank Morgan?" And he said, "He's the Wizard of Oz." And it was back in the days of Blockbuster. I'm like, I don't know, let me go rent it and see. So I went and rented the Wizard of Oz, brought it home. I watched it and I was like, back where I come from, there are many great men who do many good deeds. Those men are known as good deed doers. Now then, Dorothy. And I was like, shit, I guess I can. So I called him, I said, what was his name? But I just called him and as him. Yes, how are you today? I've heard you're looking for me. And he's like, oh my God, you sound just like him. He knew right away who it was.
Yeah.
I love Frank Morgan. He feels good because he's just this kind of a guy. You know, he's just, well, now then. And he's a little bit absent-minded, I believe, you know. But pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yes. The great and powerful Oz has spoken. I love Frank Morgan. So that's probably why, because he feels really good to do. I like doing with the haunt things. I do kind of the Paul Frees, you know, welcome foolish mortals to the haunted mansion. I love doing Paul. It's the ones that feel good. I can't impersonate somebody that I don't like. And I've talked to a lot of voice actors who say, if I tell them, I'm like, you know, I can't do people that I don't like. And they go, oh my God, me either. I'm like, that's really weird because there's something.
You can't embody their spirit.
I don't, yeah, it's like I can't do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so. But thanks, that was a good question.
Any final questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering, what are the head tails? You said they're leku, is that what they're called? Well, what are those made of, and what's it like having to dance with those, and were they heavy, or just, I've never heard anything about them, so.
Yeah, no, they're made out of latex material. And I think it's just so clever how it was done. I mean, how they molded them into, it was like a helmet I had to put on, but how they just molded the whole lekus to their design. They were heavy. I think nowadays, because there's so many, there's a whole market there for them now, and they're much lighter and they feel much more, you know, they're lovely. But back then it was difficult. It was difficult to work with them. But you know, it was very forward thinking how they came up with that kind of design. It was very clever.
Any final questions before we wrap it up? Well, any final thoughts from the two of y'all?
Thank you.
Thank you. It's really good to see you. We haven't seen each other in so long.
Yes, love to see you, Mark. Thank you, and thank you for coming to take time little chats and saying hello.
Thank you guys so much. This has been such an honor.
No,
thank you guys.
You so much.
Thank you. And may the force be with us.
Yeah, may the force be with all of us.
All right, everybody.